Here's what's coming up on the JuLā DuCré Show. 2009 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Little Anthony of the legendary Imperials. They have had mega hits, been on the top of the Billboard charts, the top of the 100 charts, and have sold over 22 million singles worldwide before there were digital downloads. Make sure you tune in on April 28 at 9:30 a.m. Central Standard Time on Crescent City Radio. Music for your mind. Great, the host of the JuLā DuCré Show. Welcome this beautiful and festive 2018 Jazz Festival weekend. I am extremely happy to be back. I missed you all last Saturday. So whenever I'm out, I always come back with a bang. And this morning, I present to you the Jazz Festival Legends interview series with the 2009 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Little Anthony. Good morning. Welcome to the JuLā DuCré Show.
Hey, good morning. This is Little Anthony here. I'm supposed to call in for an interview.
Yes, good morning, Little Anthony. Thank you so very much for blessing me and the world this morning with your lovely presence on the JuLā DuCré Show.
Flattery will always get you everywhere.
Well, thank you. You know, I must say, before we get started, I was like, oh my God, you look so great for your age. You know, they say age is nothing but a number. Do you believe that, Little Anthony?
I better, because I'm 77. Yeah, well, that's okay. I don't think about it. To me, I'm by the grace of God, I'm alive, and I have a good life, and so I go on and bless other people, you know. So, no, I don't really think about it. Some days, when I get up in the morning and get out the bed, sometimes I might realize I'm not that particular guy anymore.
Well, I was in awe when I started doing my research, as I always do. I was in awe. I was like, no way. There is no way he can look that fabulous, that good, that pretty after all of these years. So our good Lord has certainly been good to you. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's true. So I concur. It's been very good.
Well, we all know that you have had an extraordinary life, an amazing career. Can we talk about that briefly?
Oh, sure.
And I understand that you have some fantastic stories that you're going to be sharing with the world this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few.
Yes,
there's a few of them.
I heard about some of those from George, jazz singer. Shout out to George. Mm-hmm. Love George. It's a good man. Mm-hmm. George, yes, he kind of filled me in on a few, and they were quite interesting. But before we get into that, I want to wish you a happy belated birthday in January this year. Happy belated birthday.
Well, thank you. Dang, I didn't think about that.
Right. See, I did my homework. I
just left the last birthday. God, dog. What's happened? Shoot. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I also want to congratulate you and the Imperials on your 2009 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
Yep, sure is. Class of 2009. One of the best, probably, I've gotten a lot of honors, and I do it humbly. When they give it to me half time, I don't realize what I do, you know. But the Hall of Fame, that's something very special because, in fact, I asked one of the curators of the Hall of Fame, I asked him, how did this happen? He said, it was your body of work. Because usually in the Hall of Fame, it's somewhat political, and they don't bring in people who have like 9 Grammys, 3 Grammys, all kind of Grammys. But we never had any Grammys. But the reason why, he told me, is because there was no Hall of Fame when I started out in 1958. So all those records we had, that didn't hit them because the Hall of Fame didn't really get going until I think 2000, 63. So I find that being in the Hall of Fame is quite a nice feeling. It's special. It really is.
Well, you deserve it all and some. And you know, when I think about little Anthony, that pretty face, I had to correct someone the other day, you know. Yes, they were like, oh, I remember little Anthony. He was the one with the chubby cheeks. I said, no, that was Frankie Lyman. I said,
oh, that's Frankie Lyman.
Right.
People make that mistake a lot. Yeah, they do.
I said, and he got very upset with, no, I know little Anthony. I'm a fan. I'm one of his biggest fans. I said, I understand that. I said, but little Anthony was the pretty boy one wearing the tall, pretty chocolate, slim face, that hair. Ooh, my goodness. You guys set the tone for all of the boy groups.
That's when I had hair. I have to do a little work on that boy now because it didn't much left. And sometimes I look at those old pictures and I look at it, I always say this, look at the hair on my head. I didn't realize I had that much hair. See, I used to take things for granted when you're young. And when you're young, you always feel like you're immortal. Somehow you're just going to be here forever. And next thing you know, you look up, you're 40, then you're 50, and then you're 60, and you're 70. And then you realize, as you get that age, oh my goodness, whoa. So then you realize, because I did, that every day is precious. So one day at a time. I always say that before I get up out that bed. I pray. And I always say, this is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Always reminding myself, one day. No one's guaranteed tomorrow. You know, so it's just, it is the reminder of this. And so when I do look at those pictures, I look at myself in the mirror, goodness gracious, the older I get, the more I look like my mother.
That's an amazing story. And you know, I do have one quick question though. Before we talk about the music. How in the world did you guys get your hair like that? I'm like...
Well, that was called processing. In those days, black artists was always straightening their hair. Because that's what you did in those days. What Nat King Cole did. They did what they did. You know what I mean?
Processing. Is that like putting a perm or something, processing?
It's not a perm. It's like it's a white sort of lye type. I don't know what it is. And they have to do a whole process, and they got to oil your head up, and then they put it in and straighten out anything. It would straighten out anybody's hair. It's just automatic, you know. It's something that, in retrospect, and hindsight being 2020, as I look back, I kind of wished I didn't do that because I think it rushed my hair loss, you know. And a lot of us in performers who did that realized it did some damage to our hair. So, but you know, at that time, that was what you did.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I would like to say to all of your fans who are tuned in right now on JuLā DuCré show live on my Facebook page, I want to give a quick few shout outs right now. Thayar Tillman, a.k.a. Tillmac. He's a broadcaster here at Crescent City Radio. Leona Hicks, Desmond Martin. We've got Eric Brown. We have Sandra Yvette Pierre, Vida Shell, Christopher DuCré. We have a bunch of people tuned in and people who are also listening. But I want to say that for you all, meaning you and the Imperials, to have sold over 22 million singles worldwide before the digital download streaming era is significant. That was a huge deal.
It was just the beginning of the album, you know, really, because in those days, I'm talking like, you've been coming up as a kid, 55, 58, all that. You had 78 records, and then you had these little donut things, 45s they call them. And then all of a sudden the album became popular in R&B and rock and roll and all that, which it was already popular in the pop field. You know, the Sinatras and the Bing Crosbys and all them people were doing albums, but it didn't start really happening for us until they realized, hey, the record business, they can make some more money, and they were independent companies. They started doing albums. So, you know, it's amazing when I look back on in my life to see that kind of thing. Actually, my wife got me a record player.
Oh,
And we
really?
didn't find them things no more. She got a record player for me for Christmas.
That's
So
incredible.
She kept all these albums over the years. It's fun sitting in there, man, because what happened is you could run it through boats, sound and all of that. The high technology you got today, my goodness, it sounds good.
That is amazing. That is so exciting. I'm sure after all of these years, you have 45. And I don't know if you're aware, but in the United Kingdom, vinyl records, it's a big deal. It's a big thing in the UK.
They because I go there all the time. They press actually at about 6 to 7 pressing plants. We only have about 1 or 2. We used to have hundreds. Okay, but they're all like it's called Northern Soul. They just hang on and they pass it on to their children. And actually, if you go into any UK house or somebody you might know, they all got records. They got the albums. So there's no pressing albums over there.
Well, do you find? Well, in my opinion, I think album sounds way better. The quality of the music sounds way better. Analog versus that digital modern stuff. I wish they would bring back that analog, because I think with the digital age, I feel that the richness of the music has been lost. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Absolutely, positively agree with you. And there's reasons, all kinds of reasons, because what happened was the record companies found it much cheaper back in it started around the early 90s to start doing that and these little discs. They still call it records, but it's not a record. You obviously all know that. Young people know. They use it and they can put it into any player that plays the disc and stuff like that. So what happened is sometimes you can wash something so clean that's not really real. It's too clean. You know what I'm saying? In our time, we had leakage that would come over the record. There were all kinds of strange things. In fact, they used to use, Capitol Record used to use the hallways as an echo chamber. And whenever they were recording something, they would have a sign, a red light would come over the door, and everybody not to go through the door because they were using the hallways with the stairwell for echo. Now, this is raw stuff. But what happened is some of the best quality stuff came out of that era. And then they tried to duplicate it, and it cannot be duplicated. The old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know they felt technology-wise that was going to be the way to go, but, man, a lot of places, like England, a lot of the rock acts, they actually recorded actually with 2-inch and 3-inch reel, like we used to do. And then, when they did it recorded, then they put it through Pro Tools, a thing called Pro Tools. And they wash it out that way. And the reason why they want to get the richness of the sound that we had in our day today. So, and I'm saying, well, why don't you just keep what we had?
Right.
It would happen. But it's all about the dollar. It's all about money. It's cheaper. That's all it is. It's just cheaper to be able to produce CDs as opposed to records.
I agree.
That's all. And record companies sometimes get greedy.
Oh,
and they
course.
jump into many record executives are those who used to be in that era now saying, wow, we wish this had happened. Well, here's the good news. A lot of young folks today are finding out about these records. And all of a sudden, these record stores are popping up everywhere, selling vinyl, Now, you can go into any, I don't want to do advertising, but Best Buy and all them kind of stores, and you get a record player, and if they have sections now where they actually have the albums themselves. Now, a lot of the albums that people play are collectors. There's stuff that was done many, many years ago, but you could actually do that. And they found out about it, and the kids loved it. They love that. They just fell for it. They just loved it.
I absolutely love it, and I don't even like to download it anymore because when I listen to the quality of it, I don't get that feel.
No.
Like when you pull out a Imperials vinyl or Temptations. You know, it's like eating a Snickers bar. You know it's going to be good before you even put a piece in your mouth. Well, it's the same thing with Little Anthony and the Imperials. You know it's going to sound good before you even, press play, or before you even put that little needle on the little record thing. I don't know what it's called, but that's before my time.
It's a diamond needle, and it was one of the greatest inventions ever made. And what happened, something about when you make the vinyl and the grooves. I saw a documentary on that not long ago on one of those places, HBO or something, and it was all about that. How the grooves had a certain the way the needle would pick it up was so good and raw and very tasty. Today it's very antiseptic. I mean, even recording today, and I must say some of the technology is really good. I wouldn't say that some of it is not. No, there's some that I don't think is necessary, but there is a lot of good stuff. But when you hear the artists today, a lot of these artists, oh my goodness, some of them, man, just, if you were to go see them live, you could get scared. Because they have to bring a lot of equipment with them, because they really are created in the studio. They don't have to depend on their ear or their ability to sell a song, like Ray Charles. I mean, Gladys told me, she said, Gladys said, we come out of the era of the mic and the lights.
Yeah.
That's all we had. So we had to really, you know the phonies are, you had to sing. There was no getting around. If you did that, measure up to that.
There was no auto-tuning back during the day, right? There was no auto-tuning.
No.
You had to sing.
And look at Stax record. And how all them artists sound. I mean, I listen to that stuff sometimes and say, oh my God, nobody can duplicate this no more. They can't do it. And this generation of kids, I feel sorry, because in Europe, they pass on their traditions to their children. Here, I love my country, but we're a fast food country, man. I mean, we'll put up a Kenny parking lot because it makes money and tear down an historic site. They don't do that in Europe and Asia. They revere that stuff. They keep that stuff as a reminder of how it was done and how they do it today, or even better. But a lot of the kids have no idea what a record is. I saw a thing, I don't know if you saw it, but it was on Facebook. This little girl was trying to figure out how to dial a telephone. With the dial.
I didn't see that.
I did not do it.
That is crazy.
She started punching it like it was like she was on a phone, on a cell phone. And the grandmother was so mad at her. You don't know what that is? That's a phone, she said. And the kid said, but it's a phone? So what happened is you lose the very essence of what you should know. Someone once said, to disregard one's history is to be condemned to repeat it. So we don't really, the generation today really have no idea of the richness that they are being rewarded with, that us who came out of that era were the ones that paved the way, the pioneers.
Absolutely. You blazed that trail, so there would be people like, I'm going to say it, may he rest in peace, there were people like Michael Jackson and Prince, those type of artists, Rick James, people like that. Oh, those are three of my favorite artists.
When Prince passed on, that's it. Prince recorded everything exactly the way he always did.
Right.
And so did Michael.
Right.
And so did Q. But see, Jones, I mean, this is what these young people don't realize. And then a lot, I have gone to a few concerts, and man, I'm telling you, if something breaks down on them, they're lost. They don't know what to do. Now, that's not saying that some of them, there's some very talented kids, believe me, today. They really are. But, and if they are, most of the really talented ones really go back in their history and find out about other artists. Because I bet some of the young artists told me she used to listen to my music when she was little because her mother would always put it on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they would tell you, I learned something from this, so I got from this. Then there's some artists that can care less today.
Well, that's how I learned. I discovered, Little Anthony and the Imperials for my parents. The Temptations. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the household that I was growing up, you're going to listen to what we're listening. We're the parents, you're the child. And if you don't want to hear it, you can go read a book. And I'm like, no, I think I'll sit here and listen for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
you take what? Because I have been told by some major artists sometimes when they listen to it, they just feel, hey, I can't get that. Or, this happened. This is actually a story. It was 1998. And what's the name of the rap group? Shoot. Sometimes my mind goes into neutral.
NWA?
No, not MWA. The first cats that really started the whole rap thing. They're in the Hall of Fame too.
Oh, what is it? RDMC? RDMC?
DMC. Yes, DMC. Well, we were working at the Sahara Hotel, and they were in town. They weren't working anything. They just passed them through or something. And so somehow, that's the manager or somebody got them. That's when I met them. And to come in and see our show. And so after the show, one of the cats said, oh man, hey man, what kind of tracks y'all using? We said, tracks? What tracks? y'all singing this live like that with no thing, nothing? No. No. That's it. And they were fascinated by that. That's what you see a lot of the young artists who copy or, different things. I mean, I don't know how much James Brown has been sampled. I do not know. Must be hundreds and hundreds of times he's been sampled.
Oh, I'm sure.
And other artists have been sampled. But I define anybody to try to sample Sam and Dave. Because Sam and Dave was in another planet. I mean, that's how good they are. They were, man, it's just amazing the things that, and when you go to Europe, they so revere you. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the thing that I've heard. Look, it's there, and there it is. And they just go crazy. It's amazing. Here, it's the opposite. Somebody asked me to speak in the school sometime, and about 90% of the kids didn't know who I was. Didn't have an idea.
Well, that's one. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. They just didn't have an idea.
Well, what I was going to add to what you're saying is that's one of the reasons why I feel that music education is extremely important in this country. And unfortunately, there are a lot of programs that have been cut across America, and students don't know any better. You're absolutely right. They don't. Some students have not even heard of Elvis Presley or the Temptations or the Whispers, whom I love.
Yes, that's my boys. I just keep them together. And Marshall Thompson, the Shy Lights.
Right, the Shy Lights.
We talk all the time on the phone. We talk all the time.
Right, or the
And
Dramatics.
we talk about that, And he got a book out called Last Man Standing. And he's the only surviving guy of that group, of the Shy Lights.
Oh.
The Shy Lights was spent, they did stuff that no one was doing. Literally. Have you seen her? To this day, I think that's one of the baddest records I've ever heard.
Right. Everybody should know Have You Seen Her? Babies in the womb probably heard of Have You Seen Her?
I hope so. I know Marsh does. So we talking, and then Marsh told me, he said, well, he's going on a farewell tour. I said, yeah, Marsh, like all of us, we go on a farewell tour, and then we have another farewell tour, and another farewell tour.
Wow.
We're so addicted and blessed to have this kind of a life, man. It's hard to let go. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, Little Anthony, I'm curious. Why? We have like Big Anthony. You're not a little guy. I'm just curious. How did you get that nickname?
Okay. In 1958, there was a famous disc jockey by the name of Alan Freed. They call him the father of rock and roll. He coined the phrase rock and roll from Big Joe Turner. Big Joe Turner used to sing a song, what do you call it? I forget what it was called. shake, rattle, and roll.
Yes.
So he coined the phrase rock and roll. And that's what started, which rock and roll is really R&B. That's all it is. They just gave it another name.
Right.
So it could be palatable for the white community at that time with a lot of race music. You know what I mean? They didn't allow it, didn't want it. So that was the way to sneak it in there. What happened is all the white kids were loving it, you know? So in order to say, okay, let's separate it and give it another name so it won't be connotated with the black artists. So they call it rock and roll, which is really R&B.
Several of your fans are email.
I didn't finish. I'm sorry. I got to talking and lost my train of thought.
No, that's okay.
The name was given to me by Alan Freed. And the reason why is because one of the record promoters would bring the records into the disc jockey in those days. The disc jockeys were king in those days. They were the program directors. There were no program directors. They were the program director. They played what they liked. So he heard the song, and he said, man, that girl sure can sing. And the record promoter said, well, that's not a girl. That's a guy. And he said, he must be awfully little. That's how he got it. And he started saying, Little Anthony. All of a sudden, and it caught on like fire.
That's amazing. Okay, now I'm going to try to get in a few questions, and then we're going to talk. Listen, the word on the street is that you are an awesome storyteller, so I can't wait. But the first question from one of your fans, Cindy in New York, Manhattan. She wants to know, where were you born and raised?
Oh, well, in Brooklyn. Well, I was born in New York City at Metropolitan Hospital. That's what they tell me. But I was raised in Brooklyn, and my father went to work during the war. During World War II, he worked at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, and they had these housings in those days that were supplied by the government for their workers. So I was raised in Brooklyn every bit of the way. In fact, I lived in a place called Fort Greene Projects in Brooklyn, and right next to Fort Greene Project was another complex called Marcy Project, and that's where Jay-Z is from. So a lot of wonderful people came out of Brooklyn. Believe me, I'm amazed at so many artists that came out of Brooklyn.
I am too. Yes, that's really phenomenal. Also, Pete from New Orleans wants to know, where did you get your musical inspiration? Because you have one of the most pristine voices of all time.
Well, my mother was a gospel singer. She sang with the Nazareth Baptist Gospel Singers, which was a couple of my aunts and her, and some other ladies. And then my father was a jazz musician. He was a tenor man, alto and tenor, and he played for a lot of the big bands in those days, like Buddy Johnson. He filled in for some of the big bands. I mean, at that time, Chick Webb, all those kind of guys. Dad would sometimes be with those bands. So I was raised with music in my house. I mean, my father, like you said, when we listened to the music your dad and your mother played, whether you liked it or not. Well, I loved all the stuff my dad was playing. He was playing Dizzy Gillespie and just everybody, Nat Cole and Ella Fitzgerald and all these people, the Ravens, the Eight Spots, and on and on and on. And I was so influenced by that. Now, my mother tells me that when I was about 3, I guess that's what it was, 3 to 5, I ended up in the hospital because I had something wrong with my back, and it was bothering me. So my mother submitted me into the hospital, and the nurses told her, he's such a nice kid, but he just won't stop singing. He sings in the middle of the night, and all the other kids sit there and listen to him when they should be going to sleep.
Oh.
And my mother said, well, what does he sing? She says, well, he sings that thing from Annie, Get Your Gun, and he doesn't know all the words, so he says, lay that pistol down, lay that pistol down, lay that pistol down, lay that pistol over and over again. So
wow.
That was the influence I had from my aunts, my mother, and being with her, and she would take me all the churches where she would sing, and I'd sit there and listen, and it just was there. It's genetic. It just went out my mouth. It came out.
Well, you know what I find most amazing after all of these years, 50-some years in the industry, is that your voice is still pristine, still solid, still pure, just as good today. I mean, when I saw you numerous times with the Imperials performing on PBS, countless times.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen you perform on Soul Train in the past, solo and also with the Imperials. So I'm a huge fan, have always been many, many years. But when I saw a recent performance, I think you were at a casino, and I'm like, what? When I saw you and the Imperials do a little something after receiving your Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee award, I was like, wow. So I knew, without having even spoken to you once, that your talent is a God gift. You know, everybody doesn't get that kind of gift. And it's pretty evident that, you know, where it comes from.
Yes, and I have people ask me that question. You just asked me many times, and I answer them the same way. It's not natural what I do. It's supernatural. I don't even know how I do it. It's supernatural. It's a gift from, it's God's voice. I always say it's His voice, and I have it on loan until I leave this earth.
Oh, I love the way you said that.
To be able to, you know, one of the Imperials, because there were many cats who were Imperials. There's only one original now left is Ernest. Him and I came up in the beginning, but one of us, Johnny Britt, wonderful, talented guy, and he's to the right of me. We're on stage, and sometimes he's singing, he's looking at me. So after the show, he told me, he said, "Man, I'm singing with you, but dang, how you hit the notes?" I said, "Johnny, it's like walking a tightrope over the Grand Canyon." And one slip, and I'm done. So I have to depend on the Lord for this voice. Every time I go out to sing, I always lift up my prayer and my praise to Father God and say, "Hey, you know, Father, I'm go out there and I'm going to use this voice you gave me to bless somebody, whether direct or indirect, you know?" And it comes out. I don't know how long it'll last. I don't even think about it. I just like singing.
That is something.
In fact, I'm amazed that I had a record producer told me, "Do you know that you sang in the same key of F and C that you sang when you was a kid?" I said, "Not really. I've learned." When he said, what's happened with you is you've learned how to use your instrument, as opposed to when you started out as a kid, you were just blowing out of your mouth. But now you know how to turn, how to use your breath, how to use your voice. And he said, that's the difference. You're relaxing more. You're not fighting. You're not trying to hit every high note. But if you have to hit that high note, I've seen you do it. And it's amazing. It's amazing to me.
Well, for somebody like me, it's brilliant. I hear brilliance. And what I like to do, little Anthony, because I have 2 or 3 more questions from your fans that I want to get in before we start getting that good stuff. All the wonderful, amazing artists that you have either worked with or have known. I know you have some amazing stories regarding Marvin Gaye and Dick Clark and Paul Simon and people like that. But before I do that, I'd like to play one of my favorite Little Anthony songs called "Tears on My Pillow." And then we're going to come back. Oh, I love that song. My God. You know, if you guys go to YouTube right now, just type in Little Anthony. He's all over there. Every video has millions of views. This particular song that I looked at last night, Little Anthony, is in black and white, and it's a part of the NRR archives. There are almost 6 million views. And if I'm not mistaken, this song, Tears on My Pillow, that's on YouTube now, you guys had performed it at a Night Beach Nut Show on January 2nd, 1960.
I remember.
You remember that? So hang tight, Little Anthony, and I'm going to come right back with more of Little Anthony on the JuLā DuCré Show for the 2018 Jazz Festival Legends Interview Series. Keep it locked in on Crescent City Radio, music for your mind.
You know what it is? Yeah. That's a pretty hard way to get into it all. It's teardrops artificially produced. Tears on my pillow. Little Anthony and the Imperials.
Isn't he incredible, guys? I'm just so blessed. Listen to this voice, guys. Seriously.
Love is not a gadget. Love is not a toy. When you find the one you love, you fill your heart with joy. If we could start anew, I wouldn't hesitate. I'd gladly take you back and jump the hand of fate. Tears on my pillow, pain in my heart for
Okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with Little Anthony. That song is, I've known that song forever. My mother used to sing that song to me when I was a kid. I remember that. Oh, my God. What was that experience?
I was 17 years old. So
17 years old. Was that your first time on television?
No. Actually, I was performing way before the Imperials became the Imperials. We used to be called the Chesters. And before that, I was with a group in high school called the DuCré. So I've done TV. I did a very famous TV show in New York at the time, Jocko Henderson. They called him Jocko. And that was the first one. And then, of course, Dick Clark was a bandstand when he was in Philadelphia. I could think in my mind several before I even got going. And so I was very at home with the television camera. In fact, they had a show called Name That Tune. I can't remember.
I remember Name That Tune.
No, that wasn't the one. Because we were on that. I mean, we weren't on it. They named our tune, but it was called it was called. Oh my gosh, what was the name of that show? Anyway, that was one of the major shows we was on at that time. Your Hit Parade was with Snooki Lanson and somebody else, and that was a big thing. And so I had a lot of training right away about using cue cards and how to knowing where the lighting is and knowing how to turn your head a certain place to get the best angle. All these things you learn. You should. And I did.
That's extraordinary. Now, who were the I'm going to say, I'm sure you've had numerous songwriters over the course of your career, but who were some, I'm going to use the word some, who were some of the songwriters who wrote some of those hits?
Yes. Well, the first hit was written by Al Lewis and Sylvester Bradford. And there were two black dudes. One was blind, but they had many hits. Guess what their hits were? Country. They had country hits. And so they came with the song, and George Golden president of Garner and Records at that time, said, hey, I got this group. I think it's going to fit this kid. And it's going to fit his voice. And so that was Sylvester Lewis and Al Brackett. And then the most prolific team of people that I worked with that really made us who we were, that was in 1964. And that was Teddy Randazzo and Don Costa. Now, Don Costa was a producer for Frank Sinatra. And so I have a book that's out there somewhere on Avalon. You can read a lot more in detail. It's called Little Anthony, My Journey, My Destiny. And it talked about those things in detail. But Don Costa, Teddy Randazzo wrote Outside Looking In, Going Out of My Head, Hurt So Bad, Take Me Back, I Miss You So, and on and on and on.
Ooh, my favorites.
Yeah, so there were a lot of, in fact, I'll tell you a little story. Show you how things you do something that's really weird. Because we were young cats, we didn't know. Richard Barrett, who was the A&R man at Garner and Records, was really the guy that discovered us, you know. And we were on there, and so we had obviously a big hit record, Chest to My Pillow, and they needed to get another song behind that, you know, the follow-up. And they had this song called The Diary, and it was written by Neil Sedaka. And so I did it. We did the original shot, like I talked about with Neil about that. And it was supposed to be put out as the next record, but Richard Barrett was a little subordinate. He didn't put the record out that Mr. Golder told him to do while Mr. Golder was in Europe. And so he put out his own song. So when Neil Sedaka heard that his song was not coming out, he did it. And of course, Neil Sedaka became a star. And every time I see him, I say, you know, Neil, I'm the reason why you're a star. Because if we done that song, he would only have been known as a writer. But by him doing it and having a hit record, he's the writer and the performer.
That's an amazing story. Okay, we have one more question from a fan. Jackson, Mississippi. Patty. Her name is Patty. Patty would like to know, as a black man in the 50s performing, what were some of the difficulties you had because you guys performed quite often in white, what did they call them, supper clubs or what? What was the terminology back then?
In the 50s, we really weren't in supper clubs yet. That didn't happen until we get in the 60s.
In the 60s.
But at the time, we were doing tours, like the Biggest Show of Stars. And we would have everybody on that thing, man. You name it, Ruth Brown, just anybody was on those tours. They'd have like 12, 13 acts. You know, Clyde McFadden, on and on, the Coasters, Harold Corman, of Stumpy and on. And it was all black. And but what happened was that's when R&B, so-called quote-unquote rock and roll, broke out from being race music to everybody liking it, black folks and white. So consequently, here's the irony of all of this. We did most of the touring in the South. And you're talking about 1950s, 58, 59. My mother kind of told me what to expect, but you don't know until you get there. Because she was born in Savannah, Georgia. So she told me, look, it's not going to be what you think. Like New York is, you run around and do what you do. You can't do that down there. And so when we got on tour, I faced some of the most eye-opening, humiliating stuff that I have ever felt in my life. Some people say, man, you should have been bitter about all that. No, at the time I was, but then I learned from, it became part of me, my history. So I understand what it was to be in situations where you couldn't go into the bathroom and with the sign say colored and white. You couldn't, when we went to the movies, we were somewhere in Georgia, we went to see a movie, I forget what it was, we had to go up in the balcony. And on and on and on and on. We couldn't eat in the restaurants at all. So a lot of times we'd have to stop, the bus would have to stop, and then somebody would go in and they would make the food for us and give us the food and give it to us. And then that was the way we ate. We couldn't go in. We stayed in what we call guest houses just about everywhere. And because we couldn't stay at the major hotels because there were no blacks allowed. I mean, it was an experience that blew my mind. In fact, it was hurting me so bad. I called my mother and I said, "Mom, I can't take this no more. I'm coming home." And she said, "Do you know what I told you about? I tried to teach you what was going on. You are a performer." You know, literally, she was telling me, "Suck it up, finish your tour. You signed the contract," and that was it. And I just cried and I stayed. I did. My mother said, but I had to go through all of that. I went through the entire civil rights movement. I was involved in more stuff. I had a gun put in my head by a cop who told me that that's what his gun was for, to kill little niggas. That's in my book. And you would think all that stuff would just make me crazy. No, what I've experienced now, it's not like that anymore. You know, not nowhere near that. Thank God that Reverend Luther King and the other people, and Abernathy, and all these people in their lives. I had the great pleasure meeting him and meeting them. And they told me to stay with it. Hang in there, you know? And we went through things. We actually did the University of Tennessee. And they wanted to have a segregated audience. And we said, we're not going to do this show with no segregated audience. And then we got threatened by some committee in Tennessee, somewhere down there. We were threatened by our lives. So the beautiful thing I ever saw was that we refused to say we stayed in a hotel, but about 50 black, young, beautiful women and men came and said, "Look, y'all go to sleep. We're going to camp outside the door. Nobody's going to come in here." You know what I mean? I mean, when you go through all that, it's hard to explain. I tell people, my own daughter sometimes, we have to talk about racism. Watch when you say that, because I know what racism is. I understand. Don't call everybody racist. And I know what a racist is. I've experienced it. You can't get no worse than that. And thank God for a lot of great entertainers like Laverne Baker and Big Joe Turner and all these guys that have been teaching me the ropes. You know, how to manipulate yourself through and get through it and do the best you can. So a lot of these young artists don't realize all of the benefits they have. We pioneered the way. We took the whooping. We took the beating. We took the humiliation so that the Beyoncés and the Jay-Z's, everybody can do what they want to do. So I thought I'd get that off my chest.
And I'm happy you did. And I have chills. I mean, I wish you could see me. I've got I'm just listening to your truth and your authenticity. It was just so organic, and I felt like it changed me, touched me. It awakened something inside of me this morning. And I really want to thank you for sharing that bit of your past, your history with us who are so tuned into such a great man this morning. Now, real quickly, what are your thoughts about, I'm going to say, the change, you know, the music industry has changed. It has evolved. Hip-hop is undeniable now because recently Kendrick Lamar received a Pulitzer Prize, okay? So you cannot deny it. But I want to know, what are Little Anthony's thoughts regarding the way the industry has evolved and has changed over the years?
Well, talent hasn't changed at all. Talent has not changed at all. Can I call you JuLā?
Please call me JuLā.
Okay, JuLā. The talent hasn't changed. Situations have. Like I said, technology and all that stuff. And there is good and bad and everything. Even in my era, there was some really great stuff and there was some real dogs. Well, the same today in hip-hop. Some of the stuff, man, I'm blown out. Some of it's so darn good, and then some of it, you can just put it aside. So it's good and bad and everything. And so it's just that every era has its time. I mean, when I was a little kid, it was jazz. It was Dixieland. It was, stuff like that. And then it went obviously to R&B and R&B. This is how I say it. This is how I phrase it. I hope I can phrase it right. The the spirit of gospel music is the mother of R&B. R&B is the mother of rock and roll, gave birth to rock and roll. Rock and roll gave both birth to hip hop. So every era has this time of birth. And every era has their own time, their own kids like their own music. I have no problem. There are times when I like to just sit down and listen to some of the stuff that I really enjoy. I can stand and tell you a lot of people, artists that I really, really love and think they're great, but that would take too long. But the fact is that, like I was saying, there is nothing I can say except that there is good and bad, and it is a good era. Some wonderful singers are here today. If you ask me, well, how do you compare that to when I came up? You really can't. Just like I can't compare my father's experience with jazz, and on and on and on and on. So it's good, and there's some good and some not so good.
Wow. That is really, really deep. And I appreciate your being honest, because sometimes when you ask certain legends a question like that, they don't really speak. It's been my experience that they don't really speak truthfully about how they really feel about it. They kind of hold back a little bit, and you just kind of, let, this is little Anthony, ladies and gentlemen, who are tuned in right now. You're getting the real little Anthony, no holds barred right now on the JuLā DuCré show. Now, I'm just curious, me personally, about one more thing that I'm not quite sure that I am aware of. What year was it when you all made your first real break? Because we talked about the quote-unquote Chitlin circuit. I believe that's what it was called back then, right? The Chitlin circuit.
We call it Chitlin circuit, yeah.
So after, say, the end of 59, 60, whatever, when was it you guys made that big break and, you were discovered by someone that helped you get to that next level where you were trying to go? I really need to know that.
Well, see, that's the thing about us, and a lot of the artists came out of the era. A lot of them asked, how did y'all do that? Well, it's because, all the original guys, the Imperials, Clarence Collins was a really fine writer. He knew music better than anybody. Tracy Lord, who passed on, was one of the best young tenors I've ever heard, and on and on. But all of us had some experience with other things. Did you know that the Imperials, the original guys, the guys who are alive, that's Dave Rogers, that's Clarence Collins, Sammy Strain, used to be with the OJs as well, Ernest Wright, and myself, and Kenny Seymour. Kenny Seymour was really the heart and soul of this group, of the Imperials. He was the one that really put things together, the music, the harmonies. He was just gifted, very gifted. His son now is one of the biggest producers on Broadway. And Kenny Seymour Jr. And we were exposed, because we lived in New York City, to everything. I mean, you hear all kinds of stuff in New York City, all kinds of music. So consequently, one day, somebody said something, and we ended up at the Carnegie Hall to see a classical conductor. His name was Madhavani. Because Tracy loved that music, he loved it. So we all fell in love with that. And then somebody turned me on to opera, and turned us on to opera. The next thing you know, we're in the Metropolitan Opera. What's opera? Wow. It's like we were so exposed and ahead of everybody else. We were experiencing jazz because my dad was a jazz singer, horn player, and my mother. We were so exposed. We were exposed to gospel music. We just sit in Tracy's house and listen to the Swan Silvertones, Davis Sisters, Mahalia Jackson, on and on and on and on. The Nightingales with Reverend James Cheeks, and Sam Cooke with the Soul Stirrers. Okay, that's before he became Sam Cooke.
Right, right.
So we were experiencing all kinds of music and were addicted. But what happened was we began to experiment on what we heard. What if we did this? And what if we did that? And what consequently happened, we were moving into a pop area. We started listening to Sinatra. We started listening to Nat Cole. And we would try to imitate certain things. And we started doing four-part modern harmony, which was, we learned from listening to the what they call, the freshmen, the four freshmen, and the high-lows. So all of that stuff we were doing, other people at that time weren't. They were just doing what they were doing. And that was it. But a lot of these managers and people have a tendency to tell these artists, oh, yeah, you're a star, you're this, you're that. But you know what Moms Mabley told me, the great Moms Mabley told me? Mm-hmm. She said, honey, people talk about the good old days. These are the good old days. You have to build your bridges. You have to reinvent yourself. And that's what I was taught by Red Fox. And I was taught that by Stanley Davis Jr., Dr. Name. I knew it all.
Yes.
I spent time with them. And they taught me this stuff. I used to sit in the wings and look at Jackie Wilson doing a show and I'm performing and say, dang, look at that. You know? I wonder how that works. I wonder how he does that. How does Sam Cooke do that? Hey, Sam, well, when you do this and you do that, how do you do that? I was a student of what was happening in my environment. So therefore, we moved from that, what they call doo-wop stuff. I don't know what that is to this day, but from that, we moved into a pop thing. We literally moved into another world. Consequently, we met the gentleman by the name of Eddie Randazzo, who then introduced us to Don Costa, who then began to arrange our music exactly how our music was arranged for. His music was arranged for Sinatra. We were the second group to use large instrumentation. The first was the Drifters. They did in the 60s, you know, the second set of Drifters, and you know, with Charlie Thomas and, you know, all the cats, and my man has passed away, so that my brain is quicker than my mouth.
Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great.
So, you know, Benny King, that's what I was going to say. So they were using it, but when we came out, it went another level because Don Costa saw everything like he saw when he would produce for all the pop singers. So we were the first group to reach into that, step out feet in that world from the world we came from. And so we bridged that. And so consequently, we had 3 generations, I was told by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame executives. We're the only group that has had success in 3 generations. The only other person that did that was Frank Sinatra. We are the second that did it. We from the late 50s to the 60s to the 70s. People don't know. We had top 10 R&B songs working with Tom Bell and Philly International and all those people. We worked with them.
Well, little Anthony, let me interrupt you because there's just so much I want to get in today. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have enough time. But listen, one of my I love all of your music, obviously, but the Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Bop. That now, is that what you would call a pop song back then? Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Bop.
That's a novelty song. It's a novelty song. In fact, when Mr. Golden brought that to us, everyone was frowned. We didn't want to do that.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, he said, "No, I got a hunch. This song's going to make it." And I said, "I don't want it." But we were in the studio, and of course, being a professional, I'm now a professional. I decided I was going to get the best shot I could at it. You know what I mean? And we did the song. Let me tell you something real quick. That song was a hit with kids from 9 to 10 to 11, 8 years old. Well, we were doing a benefit for the United States government some many, many years ago. And in that benefit was Powell, General Powell, and all the heads of state, and all these people, and senators and congressmen. We had to be cleared by the FBI in order to do this concert.
Oh,
and when we went up there, I get a note from General Powell, "Hey, could you do the song that I love?" And it was Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Pop. You see, he was a little boy. He was the little boy that brought that record. Them little boys became the shakers and movers of this world.
Well, guess what? I got it right here. And I am going to play a little bit of it right now. I'm going to have to go overtime for a few minutes.
A little bit.
I got it right here. I'm going to play just a snippet because I I've got some new school people who are tuned in right now on the JuLā DuCré Facebook page. Hello there, Asia, Honey Brooks, Shonda Lynn. So I have got to give these new schoolers, these young girls, these young boys, young men, young women, a taste of a little bit of shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop. And I'm not even going to let you, I'm not even going to take you off the line. I'm not even going to mute your mic. I'm going to let you talk while I play it.
This is a song that's headed toward the top 10. It's a swinger. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa bop, the Anthony of the Imperials.
And little Anthony, feel free to jump in whenever you need to jump in. Whatever you want to say about
you
this.
know, we didn't think it was going to do anything. We thought our career was done. But it came, like I said, it's brought it. Little kids today love it. My grandchildren love to listen to it.
I love it. Sometimes I work out to it. Yeah, when I'm at the gym.
We wanted to do it more funkier, but Mr. Goldman said, no, I want you to do it straight like this. No, we're just trying to make it better.
It almost kind of reminds me of a classic pre-rap song, if you think about it. I'm surprised some of the rappers have not sampled that song yet. I'm going to have to dig into that.
It was sampled. It was sampled a couple. It was sampled by what was his name? He actually said the word shimmy shimmy cocoa bop.
Yeah. But you know what?
What's his name? I forgot.
This is a very sexy song. But like I said, I only want to play a little bit. Now, first of all, I need to ask you, what was it like? What was it like? Because your publicist had mentioned to me that Sammy had cooked for you and Richard Pryor some backs and greens, and in his hotel room at one of the Las Vegas casinos. Now I know you have so many fabulous memories, but
it was, as I remember, it was cabbage and pork chop. This was in Sammy loved to cook, and so we were friends. I mean, I met Sammy when I got younger, and then we ended up in Vegas someplace, and he knew one of his best friends in the Vegas group for years. And so one day he's home, and Sammy's having a dinner thing. He's cooking, so he wanted you to come and whoever. So Richard Pryor was in town, and he was downstairs, and this was at the Caesar's Palace. Oh my goodness, the original Caesar's Palace. Different now. If you've ever been to Vegas, it's huge. But then it was like one big building, and a casino. And so next thing I know, we were up there. Several artists, Pryor, everybody, we were all up there laughing and talking, and then Sammy had a little apron on. He was making cabbage, and I can't remember. It's either pork chops or ribs or something. I can't remember. But here's the funny part. He's cooking all this stuff, right? And he's up in his suite, and it's only about maybe the 15th floor. And the smell went all the way down to the casino. I don't know if it's Dr. Mr. Davis, a canoe, is there a way we can cut that down? And Sammy said, no, I got to come, because he had a whole kitchen and everything in his suite. So,
was he a good cook? Was he a good cook?
This is the place where Richard Pryor was he was so brilliant in his mind. We went back downstairs in the casino, and out of nowhere, Richard jumps up on the jack, on the blackjack table, and he goes, blackjack.
That is funny.
I mean,
that's funny.
You know.
Oh, boy.
Because he was so big, they said, okay, Mr. Pryor, can you come up the table? That's up the table. See, so they were so big that they did what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He cooked.
Was he a good cook? Little Anthony. Little Anthony. I'm kind of like going I'm like kind of speeding because I'm over time, but I have to get this in. Was Sammy Davis Jr. a good cook?
He's an excellent cook.
He was an excellent cook, really? Oh.
Yeah, he was always cooking. He they used to travel along with spots and bands. Really, man.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they had a truck. He had a truck that had all that stuff in there. You know, he had a giant movie screen. We'd watch movies.
Oh, I bet that
and all
was
that kind of
fun.
stuff.
Well,
It's just a lot of amazing stuff. My first wife who died passed away some years ago. She never forgot when she ended up through schizophrenia and somebody up to Sammy Davis' house in Beverly Hills, and they were watching movies. It was very dark in there, and so everybody was sitting around. Nobody could see anything. So when the lights came on, she was next to Elizabeth Taylor. She didn't know it.
wow.
Yeah, she said, "Wow."
Wow.
She said, "Mary, could you hand me that lighter?" I said, "Well, yeah, man, it's just, I'm so blessed, man, with the stuff that I see. And still, even today, it's just amazing the people I meet and artists and stuff. But there's certain people that are warm in my heart. Many people have said, you knew all these people like Sammy Davis and Red Fox and Mom's Mabley and all these wonderful, and Slappy White and on and on and on. And Elvis Joe. And they said, it must be great. I said, no, they're not dead. They're dead in the sense that they have passed on. Their bodies have passed on.
But let me
they still live inside of me. They're still in me.
Let me interrupt you real quickly. I don't mean to stop this. I'm over time, but I have to get this out real quickly. Two of my favorite singers, stars, legends are Ronnie Spector and Diana Ross, and I heard that these are friends of yours. Is that true?
Yeah. Diana hasn't really hung out many years, but Ronnie and I, we were kids together. We first met her. She lived in Harlem, and with her sisters, Deirdre, and I forget the other one. And I went up there one day because the disc jockey said she wanted to meet me, and so we went up there, and that's how I knew her. And then I knew the Supremes when they weren't Diana Ross and Supremes. Actually, they once placed in Brevoort Theater in Brooklyn. They opened for us because we would they would not really have happened yet. We had outside looking in, and the next thing they had that. What was the name of that song? Baby Love, Baby Love,
Baby Love,
Baby Love. And they were number one, and the rest is history, baby.
Yes. Now.
Mary and I talk all the time, and we used to take them fishing when we were in Florida. When they were working they were working at Fontainebleau, we were working at Eden Rock, and so just to kill time when we wanted to do anything, had a day off, we used to go DC fishing. So there's just a lot of things like that.
Well, you have two other incredible friends that I'm curious about. So let's just be very brief if we can. Number one, the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Now, it's my understanding that you were hired to perform at one of Aretha Franklin's birthday parties, and she said something to you. Something like, if we got together, we'd make beautiful babies.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. She said, you know what, little baby, when we were young, when I first met her, she was like 19. And she said, and she always had she loved me, loved the way I sang. Obviously I loved what she was doing. And she said, ooh, if we ever got together, you know the kind of babies we'd have?
Ooh, they would have been pretty. Yes, indeed.
Ooh,
wow.
So that was pretty good. I love her very much. She's having some medical problems right now, so.
Yeah, I read that, and I'm going to keep her in my thoughts and prayers, that she has a recovery.
She's one of the greatest things I've ever. I stood there and talk and look at her sometimes. I'm talking with her, and I just never did ask her, where's that? Her father was a great, was a pastor.
Yes.
Reverend Franklin, and she came out of the church. She was a gospel singer.
Yes.
So she had them pipes, man. She has some strong pipes.
Mm-hmm. Now, little Anthony, you knew Marvin Gaye, correct?
Yep.
Yeah,
I did.
I heard a story, and I hope you don't mind elaborating just very quickly on that, but I heard a story about smoking a joint with Marvin Gaye during rehearsal for a Dick Clark show at the Apollo Theater. Now, I'm curious.
No, it wasn't a Dick Clark show at the Apollo Theater. It was at Murray Kay.
Okay.
At the Brooklyn Paramount.
Okay.
We were all on that show. The Supremes were on there. Martha. It was really a Motown show. We were the only act that wasn't with Motown that was on that show.
Oh.
And so we did like 5 shows a day. And it's just one of the things. The artists, man, at that time, we think what we're doing is cool. If you lived long enough, you realize it wasn't cool. But that doesn't seem like a good idea. So that was unusual. It's not just him. There's many artists.
Everybody. Well, you know, in some states now, they're legalizing marijuana. I mean, isn't it legal in California right now? In Denver? Colorado?
Yeah, tell. Yeah, I've been over to California. Can't tell. Everything's legal in California. Which, you know, that state is something else.
Oh,
but, yeah. I mean, it's just, it was a way of life, you know. Nobody thought about it. It was just what you did, you know.
Right.
I don't get they were great. You know, I could stand here and tell you, and I won't use their names because I don't think that's correct. Some of them is with us, some are not. Majors, movie stars, and people have been around. When you've been around a business as long as I have, which is 60 years,
ooh,
a lot of people.
Yes, well, guess what? Speaking of a lot of people, I have to ask you, like I said, I'm over time, but hey, you are worth it. Bob Marley's manager was your manager back during the day?
Yeah, Don Taylor. Don Taylor came up to me and the guys when they were working in Jamaica on a tour, and he said, "Can I go to the store for you? Can I get this for you?" So he became like our runner, and he was like this kid would not disappear. And then one day he would work with anybody came to Jamaica, you know, go run to the store for them, do stuff like just to make money, just to keep alive. And then he in turn said, "Hey man, this is my friend." And I said, "Well, who's your friend?" He said, "Yeah, he sings too, and he plays, and he's writing. Someday he's gonna be a star." I said, "Who's that?" And his name was Bob Marley, right with him that day. And I met Bob.
Wow.
That's when he was not even Bob Marley yet. You know what I mean? And so that relationship I kept over the years because I used to have property in Jamaica, so I was there all the time. So that was a place that really he was. And you know what he used to call me?
What?
He used to call me Mr. Anthony. Mr. Anthony.
Mr.
He's a very gentle guy. And he called my wife Mrs. Anthony.
Wow. That's something.
So yeah, it was really great. And all the guys and the Wailers, all the guys we knew, Peter Taj, all of the Jamaican cats, man, they're doing reggae. I heard the reggae before anybody heard reggae.
Oh, are you kidding me? Wow, that's something I did not know.
In fact, we were when we were there, and I forget the name of the guy that ran the record company in Jamaica, and Bob Marley was on it. He was recording, and they asked, "Do you want to come over to the studio?" And because we were there, okay, so we just sat in the corner and watched Bob Marley, and he had his wife and the 3 girls singing. You know the song they were singing? No Woman, No Cry. I was sitting right in the studio.
Oh, yeah. Well,
no Woman, No Cry.
Oh, yes. I remember that very well. In fact, I have a collection of...
the studio.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I'll sit right in the chair.
Oh, little Anthony, I just love you. But listen, my time is... I'm over time now, but I have 2 more minutes I'm going to take. That's okay. Like I said, you are worth the wait. But I have to ask you about this. The song... Hurt So Bad. It's my understanding that the time that you and the Imperials, there was a time when y'all had appeared on the Letterman show in August of 2007, correct? David Letterman show.
Yeah, it was 8. I think it was 2008.
2008. Recreating Hurt So Bad live. So y'all gonna appear there and perform Hurt So Bad live. And it's my understanding that it cost the show over $13,000 for musicians, over budget, musicians, violins, background singers, timpani drums, Paul's brand, etc. And it cost so much that the guys had to pay their own way to New York City. Is that true?
Yeah. In some cases, it was because Paul Schaefer, who was the musical director for years on the Letterman show, was a big fan. And what happened was that George set up have a meeting with people who went to the Hall of Fame. He was using it as a campaign. And a friend of his said to a friend of his, got us on the show. But Paul Shaver says, I want to do Hurt So Bad, but I want to do it the original way, with all the violins, with all the singers, with all the girls, the whole bit. You can Google that. You can YouTube it. You can see that actual performance.
I'm going to check that out after the show.
Yeah.
Two quick things. Bruce Springsteen used to open up for you back in the early 70s?
Well, it was pretty early, and it's not that he opened it for us. He was on the same show. We used to do a lot of nightclubs in Jersey, and he was there. In fact, I talked to little Jimmy Van Sant. Jimmy wasn't with them yet, but the drummer was with him, Max Weinstein, and a couple other cats I remember from the original Cats, the Street Band. And we didn't know who they were. They were just a band. You work a lot of places, band.
Oh, I love
And so
Bruce
they did their thing, and then we did our thing, and that was it. And then years went by, and they said, dang, that's Bruce Springsteen. I worked with that guy.
Oh, yeah. Jack and Diane. I remember that song. Yes. Well, little Anthony, you are an avid reader and a World War II historian, correct?
Yeah, well, pseudo, I guess I call it. My wife says I should go on some kind of show, probably make money. I consider myself a poor man's historian. Yes, I am.
And I think that's really interesting. I've always loved history, all types of history.
Yes, I'm a history buff.
I am too. Love it. American, British, New Orleans, English.
Yeah, I know all about that too. Battle of New Orleans, all that stuff I studied. Civil War. In fact, a lot of my people, my ancestors, were in those wars, and that's how I got to really get into that. But even my sons now, my older sons, all became historians. My son Tony, Damon, very into it, and I visited Pearl Harbor. I visited Battlefield. My dream is to go with my son Tony on the they call it D-Day tour, to go exactly what happened there on April 6th in 1944, and that greatest battle in the world was there, and I wanted to just be there to see what it was all about, So
that's so interesting. Well, one of my nieces worked for the World War II. She worked here in New Orleans. She just recently moved to Nebraska, and she's working for the museum in Lincoln, Nebraska. I want to give a shout out to my niece, Shelby. Love her. Lastly, one last thing. It is obvious that you definitely believe in the importance of education because you obtained your high school diploma some 50 years later. Why was that so important for you 50 some years later to get your high school diploma?
Because I didn't know I passed the subject because Tears and Pillow came out. And right away they put a couple of the guys in the special schools. We had tutors actually travel, but I was the oldest guy in the band. So I was about senior year, the rest of them were in their junior year and sophomore year in high school. And because when Tears on Pillow came out, I had to, I got so fixated on being this so-called little Anthony that I took the final test, everything, and never went back to find out what happened. Well, years later, they found out that I had a diploma sitting there for me to come and get it. So, yes, I did get that. I would have went on to college. In fact, I had a professor told me, he says, if you didn't know it, you sound like a person who's been in college. You've gone to college, you got your degree. And I said, no, unfortunately I didn't get it. And he said, no, you got your degree, all right. It's called life.
Yes. That's true. Amen to that.
I'm a great believer in that. I'm on in fact, my little granddaughter's here now, and my wife is with her now, doing her homework. The homework they got today in kindergarten is scary, man. I mean, it's like fourth grade. When I learned that stuff in the fourth grade, they got to learn it in kindergarten.
That's so true. Well, little Anthony, it's been my absolute pleasure having you here, and you are welcome. You are officially family of the JuLā DuCré show. I want to thank your publicist, George, for making this interview possible. I want to give a shout out to Pete Peterson in Baklav. I can't even pronounce it. Pete, I love you in Thailand. And it's my understanding that you have you and the Imperials have performed at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans, here in New Orleans, correct? What year was that?
Yeah, I think that was 2008.
What was that? Was that your first time ever performing at the Jazz Fest?
That was the first time. Yeah, the first time. It was an experience, to say the least.
Did it rain? Did it rain on you?
No, it was hot.
Hot and humid.
Man, they had to get stuff on the Gatorade. But we were in that tent, and in that tent, there had to be about 6,000 people.
Right.
And they had these giant fans. There were fans going all over the place.
Right.
But it didn't do no good. Oh man, I was. Ooh, we were wet. When we came off, we were drenched. But I loved it. The audience was off the charts. They were just really loving every bit of it. So that kind of inspired us to keep moving, keep going on.
Oh, now you guys hit the. You guys perform quite often at major casinos, correct?
Yeah, we're ready to get out of here now. We're going into Albuquerque, New Mexico, an Indian casino there, I forget the name of it. Yeah, we do that. About 75% of our work is in casinos yet.
Why, after all of these years, right now you could be somewhere on the beach in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, you could be in Africa, you could be in Wakanda, wherever, Timbuktu, doing your thing with your feet propped up, sitting in the sun, sipping on a Mai Tai or whatever you'd like to sip on, but you choose to give all this love to your fans around the world after 60 plus years. Why do you do that?
I'm not the same. It's easy for me. All the trappings before you sing I don't like. And anyway, I live in Florida. I live in Boca Raton. I got the beach. I'm going fishing next week.
Oh.
So I have my cake and eat it too. And with my tie, I might add.
Do you own a boat? Do you have a sailboat?
Yeah. No, I just go out and go on boats. I have a friend here. He's moving to Tampa. He had a big old boat. And sometimes, I get invited in these different boats. But this is a boat that I love. And everybody knows me when I roll down the 8 boats, And I just like to go down and get my dinner. And literally get my dinner and my family's dinner. So next week, Wednesday, I'm going out. Bringing some fish back here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, it's great that, that you can enjoy the fruit of your labor. You still have the passion. I can see it, in your face, in your live performances on YouTube. So there's still that love. There's still that fire. There's still that need to want to spread the love. And I just want to thank you for spreading love on the JuLā DuCré show. I want to thank all of your fans around the world. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans before we end our beautiful conversation? 2018 Jazz Festival Legends interview series with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Little Anthony. Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Well, quickly, I'd like to say to anybody out there who wants to be a performer, singer, or whatever you want to do, I don't care what it is. If you're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a welder or whatever, I don't care. Whatever you do it with passion. With passion. And that means that you find a reason why it's good what you're doing. And when you do that, you can imagine the things that will open up for you. Never play the victim. Never become professional victims. Don't do that. Just be what God created you to be. Everybody has a destiny. And you have to reach that point in your heart and your mind that you were designed to be successful, not to fail. And I want to thank you. I love this whole interview. I like talking, as you can see.
Yeah, I do too.
I like to talk. So I just thank you so much for the opportunity to express myself. And I hope to do it again.
And listen, I'd love for you to come back for part 2 because your life is so extraordinarily amazing. It is impossible to cover enough in an hour and a half. So I will get with George and we will try to pick some dates and you just let me know whatever works for you because I know you're working all the time. Thank you so much. And I'm going to close out my show with one of my favorite Little Anthony and the Imperials songs the hit song called Hurt So Bad. And have a beautiful weekend, Little Anthony. I love you.
And you too. I love you, dear. Thank you so much, and enjoy.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna lay around.
All right now. That's what I'm talking about. Have a great day now.
I'm pretty good at doing nothing as I get older.
Ooh, that sounds good though. Hey, do you? Like they say, do you? Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. Bye.
All right, babe.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Little Anthony. Thank you for tuning in to the JuLā DuCré Show. I'm going to be back next Saturday, same time, same place, live here at Crescent City Radio. Music for your mind, making radio cool again. Be good to yourself. Because if you're not good to yourself, nobody else will. Peace and love. Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. Gotta go.